Hey everybody, it's Kate, the teen librarian, and I'm here to show you how to make pom-poms for our faux cacti craft this month. Your kit will include yarn, the little pot, cardboard, glue dots, a Velcro dot, and the template. And the template is to help you make the pom-pom makers that I am going to show you how to use. For my cactus, I used numbers 1 and 2. If you wanted to make a really big pom-pom and just have like one big cactus, then number 3 will work for you. In the kit, I did include cardboard, but you might not have enough to make all 3 templates, so you might need to get some extra cardboard from home. Other things you need from home are some scissors. The sharper the better, and this pointy end really helps for getting into small pom-poms. You'll also want some glue. You can use the glue dots that are included in your kit. They work just fine, but school glue, whatever color, white, blue, clear, sparkly purple, whatever you have is going to work better to keep the pom-poms in, but you can use the glue dots. The other thing you can use instead of the template is a fork, and I'll show you how to use those too. I'm going to use a plastic one, but of course you can use whatever kind of fork you have. Okay, so here's our finished product, just so you get an idea. And I'm going to move the instructions. And so you can cut out the template and tape it or glue it to the cardboard and make sure everything is perfect. But you can also just freehand it. Just kind of use the template to get the size correct, and then just cut it how you want to, because the important part is the size and that you have this hole in the middle. The rest of it doesn't need to be perfect. So that's another thing that you can think about when you're deciding how perfect you need it to be. So what you do to make your pom-pom, and I'm going to use 2 different colors of yarn, although you normally just use the same color. So I've got about 6 inches of yarn, which I am going to put through the hole and then pull out on the solid end so that it's out of the way. And then again, I'm going to use a contrasting thread just so it's easier for you to see what I'm doing. So then you just wrap it. Okay, so that's about 30 times. If I was making an even smaller pom-pom, I'd probably stop, but I'm going to do it 20 more times. Okay, so you'll notice that the yarn has kind of squished in the ends of the maker. That is fine. It's not going to make that big of a difference. Then you take your scissors and cut it off. And again, I'm only using this yellow so that it's easier to see what I'm doing. But you pull one end up through the middle so that it's wrapped around the back of the pom-pom, or the wrapped yarn. And then you're going to tie it. In the instructions, I tell you this secret, but I'll tell it to you here too. Normally we just loop once and pull. And then if you let go, it loosens up. So, if you're trying to tie a knot, it's hard because your thread, as soon as you let it go, loosens up. So, secret of the century, if you loop it again, so now you've looped it twice, and pull it tight, because of that second loop, it won't loosen up as much. It does a little bit, but not as much. So 3, double loop it and then tie a knot, okay? Then you're going to pull off your pom-pom, flip it over, make sure the tying thread goes through the middle so you're not catching any loops on the wrong side, and do the same thing again. So double loop, pull as tight as you can, and then knot it. And the reason you're pulling as tight as you can is if this tying thing in the middle is not as tight as it can be, the pom-pom threads can start coming out. So the tighter you can tie it, the better. If it's still too loose, you feel like it's too loose, you can do it again. Just flip it back over and tie it again. Mine seems pretty good, so I'm going to start cutting. All right, so you simply find the loops and you start cutting them in half. And this is where the sharp scissors and the pointy part becomes really handy, because sometimes the loops are tiny or they're caught in there and you can't cut them with blunt-nosed scissors. So, and it's okay if you miss a loop or so, or lots of loops. When you're fluffing it up, you'll see them and you can just go back in and cut them. So then what you do is kind of fluff up your pom-pom so that you make sure all the holes are closed and you can't see big gaps of air or big gaps. Now, again, in this one, I have used a contrasting color of tying knot so that you could see what I was doing. So it's going to add a little bit of extra color. Normally you wouldn't see this at all because it just becomes part of the pom-pom and it's the same color. Then what you want to do is give it a haircut, and you want to make sure you're turning all the time so that you don't create like one side is flat and the other side is rounded. So turn it all the time. Look at it from different angles. If you see something sticking up, you can cut it. Basically, the closer in, so the shorter you cut it, the denser your pom-pom is going to be. So it's going to get to the point where it looks more like a puffball instead of a bunch of different strings. Like this one, you can still tell it's individual strings. This one is getting to the point where it looks more like it's furry instead of just individual strings. But cut as much or as little as you like. It's your design. And once you're happy with how it looks, you have yourself a pom-pom. And you can save this leftover stuff and do something with it. You can put it in the bottom of your pot. You can throw it away. It's up to you guys, depending on how crafty you are and how much you use yarn fluff. Okay, so make several pom-poms, and then I'll show you how to put it in a minute. The other way to do it is with a fork. And so this is a plastic fork, so it's still going to have that bendy quality, not as much as the cardboard, but certainly a fork from your house, which is made of metal, will probably be a lot sturdier and less bendy. So you can wrap it the whole way around the fork. You can choose to just do a few of the tines, although warning, that is more tedious. Of course, if you're at your house, you might have small forks that you use for eating dinner, and you might have a big fork that you use for serving food or salad. So there's all sorts of forks that you could use to make this. You could also use tongs, anything that has a space in between two or more areas. So again, you want to wrap it. The more you wrap it, the denser your pom-pom is going to be. Of course, for mine, I usually did about 50 for a larger one and about 30 for the smaller fluff balls. I did not count, so I could have done more or less on this one. Again, I'm only using this green because it's to make sure you can see it. And then you do the same thing. You tie it as tight as you can, and then slide it off. And then turn it over, tie it again. And tie it tightly again. And if it still feels too loose, repeat until you feel better. Then cut your strings, your loops. And repeat the same process. Fluff it out, give it a haircut, and you're good to go. So then you have your pot. Now I gave each of you an extra little piece of cardboard. So your pot, again, you could put all your fluff that you didn't use or that you cut off, and then that could fill up your pot. Or if you had a pom-pom that didn't quite work out the way you wanted to, you can put that in there to make your base. But if you don't, you can also use the little piece of extra cardboard I gave you, or cardboard you have around your house, and fold it into a little shelf and stick it down in there. Then you have a nice area where you can put your glue or your glue dot. Okay? Before you glue anything though, you want to arrange your cactuses into a shape that you think is pretty. Like, I don't like that one. Oh, that one's good. I want to put a flower on top of him. And then once you have it how you like it, that's when you want to start gluing. So on mine, I have a little one and with a flower on top. This longer one I actually made by gluing 2 pom-poms together and then cutting them, drop my pom-pom, gluing 2 pom-poms together like this, and then trimming them so that they were even in this longer shape. So you can do all sorts of stuff with your pom-poms, and then once you have it in a shape you like, just glue it on, let it dry for a couple hours if you're using the Elmer's glue or school glue, and you're ready to go. One other thing is that included in your kit is a Velcro dot. It's sticky on both sides so that you can put one side on the bottom of your pot and then the other side on whatever surface you want to make it stay, and it will not fall off because the pot is, of course, breakable. Make sure you ask permission before you do any of that, though. All right, if you guys have any questions, you know where to find me at the library. And I hope you enjoy this craft. Please send me pictures or videos of your craft so that we can enjoy them. Have a great day.